WSOU 89.5 FM. I'm Valentino, and I'm joined today with the legendary Caleb from Beartooth. How you doing today?
Dude, I am incredible. Got a very warm welcome from you earlier. I know you've been with us for a long time. That's really cool.
Exactly. And it's just so great to finally have you on the show because, as I mentioned before, anybody that knows me, heard my voice on WSOU knows I've been following you guys since like day one. June 2014, Disgusting gets released. I'm there. And so almost like a decade later, watching you guys grow into like one of the biggest rock bands on the planet, that's just cool for even my fans' perspective.
Right on. Yeah. I mean, absolutely. Yeah, it's rare to hear people that have been around that long. So it's cool that you're still with us and that, now you're getting to interview me on your radio show. So life's not too bad.
Oh, exactly. And I just even want to talk about this new record Below because I think part of the reason that Beartooth is as huge and enormous as you guys are is that you've never really had a dip in quality. There's never been like an obvious like, oh, that record's like a clunker, that record flopped. Like every record has just like built on the last, and I kind of want to get your opinion on that.
Sure. I mean, that's been very intentional and a lot of hard work has gone into that. I think that especially the hardest thing for me was trying to figure out what to do for Aggressive after Disgusting, because Disgusting was kind of that like culty, really hot flash in the pan, like a really good place to start. And we had a lot of huge opportunities. But then with how busy we were and how crazy everything was, to follow that up was really difficult. And thankfully with Aggressive, there was some kinks in the process, but it turned out good. And more than anything, it had some really important singles on it that really carried us. So then, after that, going into the Z's, it was really trying to focus more on the album as a whole instead of the singles. And then Below is just its own animal. I mean, Below is its own, like, the pandemic record. It's just kind of that timestamp. There was not much else to do not much else to do but sit and think and just dwell on it and keep messing with it and tweaking it. And yeah, I really appreciate you saying that because, that's always a goal. And with kind of how wild each album's process has been, the fact that we've had success with each one has been really awesome to say. It's just downright really cool. And yeah, I feel very blessed in that regard.
Oh, of course. I know with Aggressive, probably another thing that you were nervous about is, that sophomore slump. It's a real
Exactly.
fear in the music community.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, you see it happen so many times. And like I said, that album, I mean, it's not that we were intentionally trying to rush it, but I mean, we had to. It was like we weren't slowing down. We were just tour after tour after tour and opportunities we couldn't turn down. So I was trying to kind of find time in the middle to write that record and to get it done. And we were experimenting with a few things. But Hated came out of that record and Aggressive came out of that record. And those are two staples that we still play to this day. And Hated is still our highest charting radio single we've ever had. So yeah, I think we kind of snuck by that sophomore slump, thankfully.
Absolutely. And even like probably one of my favorite album closers, just like in the metal scene, is just King of Anything. That's just slow,
Yeah.
brooding, angry. And I kind of want to ask a little bit why you went back to re-record that in 2020.
Yeah. So again, like I was saying, with that record being so kind of high octane in the process, it was so fast and so much pressure. It just felt like something I wanted to do. And again, it was pandemic. I had a lot of time on my hands. And, I just opened up those sessions again and went back into those stems and just kind of like revisited them. And that is the only record that we used an outside mixer on. And absolutely no offense to who did it. David Bendeth is an amazing mixer. But again, even for him, he had such a short amount of time and I was checking mixes like on tour. My ears are shot. I'm listening on headphones. Like it was not an ideal scenario. So it was very just kind of like quick. And yeah, so I had just been working on remixing and kind of getting my chops dialed in to mix Below and to master Below. And so I was using Aggressive as kind of a way to like just refuel and a way to like get my chops back, like I was saying. So yeah, I figured why not put it out? I mean, I think I threw in like a little bit of extra stuff that I didn't think about at the time, and just kind of dialed some things in. And it's more of that like deep cut, fan thing, that if you're really into the band and kind of the story of that album, that's kind of like a bit of closure on those pieces that I felt like got overlooked a little bit in like the craziness of the process.
Absolutely. And you talked about, it helped you like springboard into mixing and mastering below. I definitely want to get your opinion on this because it's kind of almost a stereotype now where like in the metalcore community, oh, after a band's third record, they start to lose their edge. It's just like, it's there's memes on the internet. Everyone kind of jokes about it. And then you guys come out swinging your fourth record, the heaviest record you've ever written. Tell me a little bit about what that was like, just going full throttle into that metal scene.
I mean, it just felt right. And even, before the pandemic and before all of that craziness was going on, I mean, I had written most of that music prior. Almost all of the instrumentals were done between January and March of 2020 when I was out on tour. We did a co-headliner with Motionless in White. That was epic. And I had just started bringing out a touring studio. So I was writing a bunch on that. And then we did the Disease tour in Europe, which was our biggest headliner to date. And it was really awesome. So a lot of energy going on there. And, I really take a lot of inspiration from bands like Slipknot, they like what they did with Iowa. And they always talk about how so many people expected them and were pressuring them to do a radio album because they had so much success with the first album. And they just said, screw that. We want to put out the heaviest record that we can possibly make. And they put out Iowa. And, that's just kind of how I felt after, our trajectory and what we've been doing. It very much so would have been easy for me to just throw together a radio record, and so many people do it. I mean, there's a reason that it's a stereotype. Like, so many bands that you hear their newer stuff and you're like, that's the same band. Like they get a little bit of a taste of, mainstream success, and they want to go straight up mainstream, which, hey, if that's what you want to do, more power to you. But it's just not where I was at the time. Mentally, I was really obsessed with metal, and I couldn't get enough of Meshuggah and Metallica, and then listening to a lot of like stoner rock bands, and getting really into that kind of like big fuzzy drony guitar tone. And even for a more nerdy thing, like Below is the first album that I changed the guitar sound. I mean, Beartooth's guitar sound was always just basically a really hot Marshall, like AC/DC style. And then for Below, it was a whole new thing with fuzz pedals and octaves, and it was like a whole new guitar sound. So yeah, I know that was a very long-winded answer, but sometimes you just got to rock and play some heavy metal. You know what I mean?
Oh, exactly. And I think that I never noticed that, but you're right. Something about this record just sounds more deep. You know what I mean? Like sound wise, sonically, it's just like
Yeah,
a
yeah.
darker, deeper record. And I think it shows, you look at the chart success on Below, #1 hard rock chart, #1 in the rock chart on Billboard. Like, this was a
Hmm.
record that fans needed, fans needed that
Hmm.
aggression in that time. It
Yeah,
definitely had that success.
yeah. Thank you. And yeah, I mean, that was another thing that I think for us is super important, is that like we wanted to make sure that our real core fan base, the people, like yourself, who have been around since the first record, like they know how much we appreciate that. And that was kind of my way of saying it, was like, here's a record, like, we're not going to let you down. We're not just going to give you some generic radio record. Like, we're Beartooth. We make heavy music. Here you go. So yeah, with everything that was going on, that was another thing that was really important, is just making sure the people that have stuck by us, get what they've earned. And that's a fun, heavy record.
Of course. And there's another thing that I kind of wanted to ask you about while you're here. I don't know if this is intentional. It might just be me like doing too much thinking or over research, but every single record you guys have ever put out has been one word. It's
Hmm.
always been disgusting, aggressive, disease, Below. Is that intentional, or is it just kind of happens?
Uh, you'll find out on the next one.
Okay, all right. I like that. That's ominous. Um,
Yeah.
or how involved are you in this production of this next record? Are you in like the writing process, the mixing process? Are you allowed to say?
I've written. I have half of the records done. I went out to LA kind of over the last month. I spent about 3 weeks there in total, and I've just been writing and working and coming up with kind of the new sound for this record. And it's just been happening really, really fast. And it's my favorite stuff I've ever written. I mean, I know a lot of people say that about their new stuff that's not out yet, but truly for me, it just couldn't describe more about where I'm at in my life. And I think the sound reflects that. And, I'm trying to kind of push myself in a lot of ways, try new things that I've never tried before, try and show off different parts of my voice that I haven't used before. Um, yeah, it's going to be a wild ride, but we're hoping we have some stuff sooner than later that people can start to, get their heads around.
And I feel like that's just the way that like being an artist should be. You always should have your most recent record be the one that you think is the best and you're most excited for.
Yeah.
And I think that's a testament to Beartooth's career. And I know we talked about it earlier, but you guys have a very, very consistent catalog, and I think just always putting that best foot forward definitely helps. And so you said we might hear stuff sooner than later. Is it like, are we expecting a release date like in the summer, maybe the fall? I'm not sure if you're allowed to say.
I'm definitely not allowed to say it. I've
No
already
worries.
said too much, but yeah, just know that we're working. I am really working hard on what's going on, and it is going to rule. And I'm really excited to share it with the world. Obviously, we've still got some stuff to do with below. That with the whole pandemic stuff, we got some ground to make up when it comes to touring, and getting that out to everybody. But yeah, doesn't mean people can't be
Yeah,
ready
of
for some new
course.
stuff at some point.
And I can promise you, whatever stuff you drop, whatever you produce, WSU 89.5, we'll play it. We'll be here for it. We're excited as always.
Hey, well, I appreciate that so greatly. Seriously, the support that we get from y'all and just from radio in general has completely changed the trajectory of our band and our fan base, and it's really, really cool. So just know that I incredibly appreciate it.
Oh, and it really means a lot to us too. I mean, even this year we got the disgusting gold record hanging in the hallway right now. WSU, just very exciting
Absolutely,
to see. The fruits of like, well, what we're pushing, how you guys are doing, and
for sure.
I definitely want to ask you another question specifically about your vocals, because I think part of the reason that I love Beartooth, so many other people love Beartooth. When you're heavy, it's intense, it's amazing. And when you sing, you have a really good singing voice too. I feel like, especially in the metal community, they're either like a better singer or a better screamer. Typically they have two different people. How do you balance like that dichotomy?
Yeah, a lot of practice over the years, a lot of repetition. I've been doing this now for 13, 14 years. Doing vocals in a band specifically for about 12, just doing vocals in a band. So it was a lot of trial and error, learning how to scream and not ruin my voice and do it in a way that still is, emotional, and it gets my point across, but I'm able to do it every single night. Took a long time. And then same with singing, it's just a lot of people talk about that 10,000 hours thing, and you just got to put in the work. That's it. It's trial and error. It's doing things and being like, okay, this hurts my voice. This keeps my voice intact. And, we got to go out and sing. I got to go out and sing for an hour and a half every night. And if I can't do that, then I feel like I'm kind of, you know, doing a disservice to the people who are spending 40, $50 on a ticket. Like, they deserve me at my A game. At least that's the way I view it. So that's what I shoot for. And obviously there's the realities of you're going to have some better nights than others, but having some base level of consistency is incredibly important to me. And that's just hard work.
And that's just so great to hear because, again, a band like Beartooth, you got songs like After All, where you're just belting your singing voice on that chorus. It's so incredible. And then you got tracks like Devastation, where you are belting your screaming voice. And both are awesome and so different,
Yeah, it's wild. We're actually playing both of those songs on this new tour that we're about to do. We haven't played
Yes.
After All in a while, and I've been practicing that one, and I'm like, man, this, yeah, it takes a lot out of me, but hey, I'm prepared. I'm ready.
Absolutely. And for all of our New Jersey listeners, you guys are coming to the Cure Insurance Arena, April 29th, New Jersey. You guys don't want to miss out on this. Also, for all of our New York listeners, again, April 29th, it's going to be with Silverstein, Silvertooth Lives, very exciting, Devil Wears Prada, and Erra. It's going to be a good tour.
Yeah, I cannot wait. That show is going to be insane. You know, we've been coming to Jersey for a long time, never been in the arena, especially not headlining. So we're bringing all the stops. We got a really, really good show planned.
Yeah, I actually had a conversation with Shane from Silverstein about it 2 weeks ago, and he even said, he was like, that New Jersey show is going to be nuts because it's an arena, because it's
Oh
a
yeah.
headlining show at this massive place. So we're so excited to see it. The WSU crew will be there. If you're there, you see our merch tent, our area, say hi, spin the wheel, all that good stuff. But again, Caleb, thank you so much for talking with me and joining me today. I really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. No problem. Hopefully we can get in there soon and do some acoustic sessions or just hang out and talk in person, something. No doubt.
Exactly. And whenever you're there, as I said, we're here to support it. We absolutely love you guys. So thank you.